Hi, so today we're going to talk about foundation. Now this is one of the things I get asked about more than anything. The reason for this, I think, is that most women have really struggled to find their right shade and have found that it looks too caked or it's too sheer and doesn't cover anything up, and they really struggle with it as a thing. Foundation is so important because it's exactly that. It's the foundation of your makeup look. And also it covers the largest expanse, so it is the one area where I think you really need to do your homework and get it right. And also, I'm afraid, it's the one area where I think you absolutely need to spend money. Every week in my column there'll be at least one item that you can just buy in the supermarket or the local chemist, but this week there is nothing in that price bracket because I absolutely think you need to spend money on foundation. You're looking at 20 quid upwards. But scrimp on everything else, pencils, mascaras, whatever, but foundation you need to kind of flash the cash. We're not in my bedroom today, we've come to Bobbi Brown, to their training room, and the reason we've come to Bobbi Brown is that Bobbi Brown is one of the brands that's especially good at foundation. Giorgio Armani's excellent at foundation, Clinique are good, MAC have an amazing colour range for all ethnicities. And Bobbi Brown is especially good at foundation. The reason I love Bobbi Brown foundations and those brands I've just mentioned is that you will have read in previous columns I hate pink in any base makeup. You want something that's yellow toned, and this may be counterintuitive to some people if they have yellow tones in their skin, for example Eastern Asian women who try to sort of avoid yellow because they want to kind of bring it back around with pink. It doesn't work. You always need to go with a yellow tone. It's so much more flattering. If you imagine candlelight when you go to a restaurant, you look so much prettier in candlelight, and that's because that yellow just gives a really soft, warm look to the skin and is infinitely more flattering than pink that tends to look ashy and a bit dry and flaky. So Bobbi Brown also feels strongly about this, so all her foundations are yellow toned, which is why I'm here today. In terms of colour matching your foundation, one of the questions I'm most often asked is how do I stop having that tide mark here between foundation and real skin? And my answer to that is it's not an application problem you've got, you're just using the wrong foundation. You shouldn't ever be able to see a tide mark. You shouldn't have to blend it onto your neck because it should be the right colour and you shouldn't see the joins. So today what I'm going to do is I've got some Guardian readers in with different shades of skin, different textures of skin, and I'm going to colour match their foundation and hopefully show you how to do the same. So this is Arti, and Arti is from an Asian background, so she has kind of classic Indian skin, and by that I mean it's very even. Indian skin tends to be very even, pretty much all the same colour, which is not typical of Caucasian skin or Afro-Caribbean skin or African skin. So you can pretty much use just one wash of foundation over the whole thing. One thing that is common in Asian skin is that there tend to be sort of grey areas that you want to kind of perk up and make more even. Arti says that she has some oil in her T-zone, which is here, so I'm going to use something with not very much oil in it to sort of balance that out. But I'm going to use a really light coverage because, as you can see, she doesn't have any blemishes or any wrinkles or anything like that, so she just wants a nice veil of colour to brighten things up. So I've put Arti's hair back so that we can see what's going on. And to find the right colour, what you need to be doing is going into your department store and you need to play around with colours, and you don't try them on your hand, you don't try them on your arm or your neck or anywhere, you just try it on your cheek. And your cheek will give you the most sort of accurate reading of what your colour type is. If you can, go outside and have a look in the mirror outside on the street, because daylight will give you a truer impression. Lighting in department stores is generally sort of really bright and deliberately flattering, so you think you look nice in the makeup, but it just doesn't give you a true reading. So, as I said, I'm going to use quite a sheer foundation on Arti, and I'm going to pick some colours which I think might suit her and see which one is the best. So, the first one I'm going to try is this warm beige. Sort of looks like it might be right in the bottle, but we need to test it on the cheek. So what I would do is just take a brush, a cotton pad, or your fingertip, and just pop it on the skin in a stripe. Now that's not too bad. We'll just leave that there for a second. And I also thought perhaps this one, which is Honey, which is darker. And I'll put that next to it. Now straight away I can see that's too dark. Now one thing that people misunderstand about Asian skin and black skin is that they assume it's much darker than it is. But just like Caucasian skin can be anywhere on the spectrum, so can any other ethnicity. And people assume that if it's Asian skin or black skin that you need something really, really dark. But actually, somebody Asian or black can be just as pale as somebody white. And so it's really important to get different colours on the face. So that's definitely too dark. And then finally I have this one, Warm Natural. I'll try this one. Now, if you just turn for me, if you look at those three on the skin, you can see straight away that this one, the Honey, is too dark for her. You can see this one at the top is nice and golden and it's the right tone, but it's still too dark. And this one in the middle, you probably can't see on camera because it's just disappeared into her skin. If it disappears, it's the right colour. So I'm going to put that one all over her face and you'll see what I mean. Funnily enough, that's the palest colour. Okay, so now I'm going to put the foundation on Artie's skin. There are various methods of application for foundation. You can use a little latex wedgie sponge like this one and just keep rinsing it. You can use it dry or wet. Lots of people like it dry. I don't, because I think when, lots of people like it wet. I don't like it wet because when you use a wet sponge, the coverage will be really, really, really sheer. And if you're going to go for something that sheer, you might as well wear a tinted moisturiser. I can't see the point. Dry is better. Or you can use a foundation brush to smooth it on. This is quite good if you're inexperienced because you make sure you get the right thickness of foundation all over. Or you can use your fingertips, which is the method I prefer. The reason I like fingertips is that your fingertips are warm and it sort of makes the foundation melt into your skin and it gives a really natural coverage. So I'll put some on with the brush to show you how it works and then I'll blend with my fingertips. So pour some of the foundation onto the side of your hand, using your hand as a palette. And if you're using a brush, work it into the brush. Start in the middle and work outwards and under the eyes. You want foundation everywhere. You want it on your eyelids, underneath your eyes, on your lips if you're going to follow up with lip colour because it'll just help your lip colour stay in place. Nose is really important because your nose will tend to have discoloration around it, whatever your skin tone. You can see I haven't done one side of Artie's face, I've just done this side. You can see how much more sort of glowing and even that is, the side that she has the foundation on. And this is a lovely sheer finish, so it's perfect if you've got very clear skin. You can notice Artie's got some yellow tones in her skin, which is lovely. She's halfway there, but I haven't tried to cancel those out with pink. I've chosen a nice golden tone to complement that, not try and disguise it, because it's an asset. And you can really work into the creases with your brush. And if you look, there is no difference between neck and face. You don't need to start putting foundation down here to match things up. If you need to do that, you've got the wrong foundation. Now, because my fingers are warm, I'm just going to blend it in with my fingers, just because it gives a nice, smoother, more sort of luminous finish. And you're always blending outwards from the centre of the face out, because the centre of the face is where you need more coverage, and the outside of the face, most people don't really need anything. Okay, so this is Artie finished. She's got her foundation all on and blended in, and I've just dotted a little concealer, hardly anything, under her eyes just to get rid of any remaining greyness, and a tiny bit of cream blusher, another Bobbi Brown one, which is one of my favourites. And that's her. She just looks completely different. I mean, she looks like herself, but she looks perky and healthier, and that's what you want foundation to do. You're not masking or hiding things, you're making yourself look like yourself, only better, which I think she does. So this is Rianne. Like me, she has, well, she's Welsh, so she has kind of pale Celtic skin, and she has a little high colour in her cheeks that she would like to even out. And also she has freckles, which is like an absolute gift in beauty. If you have freckles, for God's sake, don't fight it. It's like waking up in the morning with makeup on. You definitely want to kind of show them off. They're so pretty and really youthful. So we need to do a few things with the foundation here. We need to even out the high colour, but we don't want to mask the freckles. So we still need something sheer enough to let those shine through. But we want to just even out the skin tone. Also, Rianne says she has some dryness in her skin. Her skin feels a bit tight after washing, so I'm going to use something with a little moisturiser in it. So I'm going to go for Luminous Moisturizing Foundation, which is also good on people who are sort of 35 plus, because it kind of gives a bit more glow back to the skin. So the first one is Warm Natural. Turn your face for me. And we'll just pop a stripe of it on the side of her cheek. Now I can see that, that's really visible, so that means it's too dark. We'll try the next shade down, which is Natural, and it has a bit less brown in it, but it's still yellow toned. Even if you have pink in your skin, like Rianne does, you don't want to go with pink, you want yellow. And this is nice and yellow. Redheads often wear foundations that are too pink for them, because they tend to have more pink in their skin when they have red hair, but this is a mistake. So this is Natural. I think that's pretty good. And then I'll try Sand, which is near to the shade that I use. Right, that's really pale. Look, you can see it's really visible. Anything you can see very clearly is wrong. So the best one was Natural. It had a bit of coolness in it to take down the high colour, but it still had some warmth. So I've tied Rianne's hair back so you can see what's going on. And the one we've gone for is that Natural colour, and it's going to go all over her face just to even things out. If you only want to kind of cover up a few things, you can just put foundation on where you need it, but because Rianne wants to even out her skin tone, we're going to put it all over. Load up the brush and start in the middle of the face and work outwards. And you can't see this, it's just disappearing into her skin, and that means it's the right colour. It's important to put your foundation over your eyelids because it just makes a nice base for eyeshadow and makes colour stay up better, show up better if your skin tone is even all over your eyelids. Any eye colour you put on is just going to look more vibrant and even. Okay, so that's Rianne done. Her foundation's all blended in. Tiny bit of concealer underneath in one shade lighter than the foundation. Same tone, just one shade lighter. And a little rose cream blush to give her some colour back. It's worth noting that because Rianne has rosy cheeks, she never wears blusher. This is a mistake. Just avoid a blusher in the same colour that your cheeks are and go for something more brown or more peach rather than something more pink. So I've given her a sort of dusty rose which has a lot of brown in it. And there she is, perfectly matched. This is Becky. Becky is a mere 20. So Becky has a few spots, which is very common at 20, and she is very, very pale. She has a beautiful skin tone actually, but very pale, and lots of women who are very pale really struggle to find the right foundation colour. So we're going to find her the right one. Also, Becky said to me early on that she had very oily skin, but she has dry cheeks. And she doesn't have dry cheeks, she has dehydrated cheeks. So you'll see in a previous video my feelings on that. So what I've done to prepare her skin, which is really important in this instance, is I've put a hydrating toner with hyaluronic acid in first to trap in some water, and then over the top of that I've put an oil-free, oil-controlling moisturiser from Bobbi Brown to just keep the oil at bay and to keep the foundation matte, because without that the foundation's liable to kind of go on the move throughout the day and she's going to lose all that nice coverage. Now over the top I'm going to use a long-lasting sort of foundation with loads of staying power, because the oil naturally present in her skin will get things moving and we want it to stay put. So I'm going to test her colours now. So the first one I'm going to try is Warm Ivory. Looks about right in the bottle. Side of the cheek and stroke it on. Now, much as I love yellow, that's too yellow. And we can see straight away, and it's too dark. So this one is Porcelain. And that disappears into the skin. That looks pretty good to me, but we'll try another. Finally, Alabaster. Now, of all of those, the one that disappears is the one in the middle, which was the Porcelain. Alabaster's looking a bit chalky for me, although it'd be very pretty on somebody else. It's just not right for her. And this first one, the Warm Ivory, is much too dark and too yellow. So I'm going to go with Porcelain in the middle, and we'll put that one on and see how it looks. So, same technique again. This time, instead of using a brush and my fingers, I'm going to use a cosmetic sponge. And the reason I'm going to do this is it will just not warm up the foundation as much as it did with the others, because I don't want it to start melting and getting oily with her skin. I want to keep things quite cool and not sweaty, so I'm going to use a sponge this time. So foundation on the side of your hand as a palette, and then I would just dot it lightly on with fingers first, and then we'll blend with the sponge to avoid it heating up too much. You're just using the points on the sponge to get into all the nooks and crannies around the eyes and around the nose. Now, one mistake that Becky could easily make is to choose a foundation to cover up spots. That is the job of concealer, not foundation. And if she did that, chose a very heavy foundation to try and conceal spots, not only would the texture be too heavy for her oiliness and compound the problem, but it would mask the prettiest thing about her skin, which is she's 20. And she's got young, lovely, soft, plump skin, which you want to hang on to. You definitely don't want to hide it. So you hide spots with concealer and you accentuate what's already there with foundation. You don't wear foundation like a mask. Now you'll see no difference at all between Becky's chin and neck. There's no stripe between the jawline and the neck, because it's exactly the right colour. Okay, so this is Becky with her foundation done. So I've put that oil-free moisturiser on, oil-free foundation, concealer, and then I've trapped the whole thing in with powder. Powder's really important for making foundation stay there all day. It's especially important in oily skins, because your foundation will just creep off your face throughout the day. So it's really important to just lock it down with some loose powder. If you can see, she still looks young. You can still see her skin coming through. It's not like a mask, but we've covered up these spots and she just looks a lot more even. She's got a tiny bit of blusher on and some lip balm, that's it. There we go, I think it's perfect. This is Babs. Unbelievably, Babs is 58. She just has the most gorgeous skin. But she has the problem that lots of Afro-Caribbean women have, which is that her skin is several different shades, which can be quite hard to colour match foundation. It's also terribly unfair because lots of Afro-Caribbean women end up having to buy 2 or 3 different foundations and kind of putting them in different places. So a brilliant foundation for doing this is a stick foundation. And the reason a stick foundation is good is you can just put it where you need it, and then you will only need one shade just to cover the bits that you need, and then kind of blend it all together, and then we're going to trap it in with powder. So we're going to find her colour first. She's got quite a lot of yellow in her skin, which is lovely, and as ever we're going to work with that. And it's not that dark, but certainly most ranges wouldn't cater for this skin tone, which is outrageous, but fortunately we're at Bobbi Brown, so she does, and we have plenty to choose from. Personally, if you're a colour where you can't find the right foundation, you find a brand doesn't cater for your skin tone in foundation, boycott their lipsticks, eyeshadows and everything else that you can buy. Because until they lose the custom, they won't broaden their colour range. So, firstly I'm going to try honey in the same way that I did with everyone else. And just put it on the side. Straight away, I can see that's too pale. And what's going to happen there is that Babs' skin's going to look really ashen. It's going to look really sort of grey, because black skin, when it has foundation that's too pale, goes grey. This next one is Warm Almond. Now these stick foundations are brilliant. People are scared of them and think that they're only for really dry skins, but they're not oily at all. Now that has just disappeared into Babs' cheek. You can't even see it, which is a very good sign. But we'll try this last one anyway, which is Almond. And it's too red. You can see here it's just too red on her skin. Just make her look really strange. That one in the middle, Warm Almond, is spot on. So we've chosen the Warm Almond, and Babs has got lovely clear skin, so I'm literally just going to pop it where we need it and nowhere else. So look up, under the eyes, where black and Asian skin can look quite grey under the eyes, whereas white skin looks blue, which is no better. Black and Asian skin tends to go grey. And I'm using the brush here just because it's a really good way of targeting only certain areas. Your fingertips will tend to blend things more widely, and we just want to keep things quite localised here. Babs' eyelids are like a graduated tone already. They're not all the same colour, they're not even. I sort of like that. It's sort of like having eyeshadow on when you wake up, so you don't want to disguise it. And this is just the perfect colour. It's just disappearing into the skin. You can just work the brush into all the nooks and crannies around the nose. Okay, so that's Babs' foundation on. I've put a little concealer under her eyes and just around her nose, and I've finished it off with some powder just to lock the whole thing down. And because we haven't used foundation everywhere on her face, the powder is just a good way to sort of unify both shades, bringing the whole thing together. And a little bit of cream blush, because you know me and my blusher, can't leave it alone. And that's it. It's a perfect match. So that's foundation for you. Hopefully that will now have taught you how to colour match your skin. Remember what I said, go outside if you need to and check in a compact mirror in the daylight. Any good department store will expect you to go and do this. So don't feel bullied into choosing something on counter. And spend money, really do spend money. If you scrimp on everything else, that's fine, but your foundation needs to be at least 20 quid, because the cheap ones, you just won't get this kind of finish. Thanks a lot, see you soon. Let me know in the comment section how you get on. Thank you.